The movie begins in the year 2563, 300 years after a devastating war that had wrecked the world, which is called the Fall. Salem was once a great city, but is now in absolute ruins. Dr. Dyson, a brilliant scientist, is rummaging around in the junk that is discarded from Salem. Suddenly, he finds the body of a dismembered cyborg with a functional human brain. Taking the cyborg home, he and his assistant Gerhard repair and attach another body to it. Then, name it Alita after Dr. Dyson's departed daughter. When Alita wakes up, she is surprised to be alive with a new body. Getting dressed with the clothes Dyson had left her, Alita goes downstairs to meet the people who brought her back to life. After introducing themselves, Dyson takes a look at Alita's body to make sure she is functioning okay. When Alita asks about herself, they explain that she was a total replacement cyborg with an intact human brain, but they couldn't find any record of who she is. Dyson takes Alita out into Iron City and shows her around. When he sees the awe in her face after noticing Salem City, he explains that it was the last remaining of the great cities, and everyone down there worked for them. Waiting in one of the stalls for Dyson, Alita meets Hugo, a handsome boy she seems taken with. While they're conversing, Dyson interrupts and tells Hugo that Alita is new there, the two men sharing a look. After telling the older man that he'd be dropping off his orders later, Hugo takes off on his bike. That night, Alita wakes up after hearing the door open and sees Dyson sneaking in with a suitcase, his hands covered in blood. The next morning, Dyson, his assistant, and Alita are working on a cyborg man who had his hands and legs ripped off by thieves so they could sell it to the games. The man tells them that another woman was murdered the previous night, her body parts probably being sold on the black market. Later, Alita goes out of the house into the neighborhood and finds Hugo playing motorball with his friends. He invites her to join in and finds out she has a real talent for the sport. After offering her a ride home, Hugo buys Alita some chocolate and watches her enjoy it. When she gets home, Dyson chastises her for coming home late and offers her proper food because her human brain still needs nourishment. Due to her growing suspicions about Dyson's arm and the stories circulating in the city, Alita follows him out one night. As she watches him from afar, she thinks he's about to murder an innocent girl, not knowing that he is a hunter-warrior, a bounty hunter who works for the factories. Suddenly, they are ambushed by the same criminals Dyson had gone out to kill. When Alita sees that her friend is in trouble, a training she didn't know she had takes over and she jumps in to save him. Alita kills two of the cyborgs who had been serial killers and then severely wounds their giant leader, Grewishka. Although he's angry at the defeat, Grewishka flees, promising to return for revenge. Dyson and Alita take the bodies to the factory for proof and get the payment that had been promised for the bounty. Later, Alita questions him further on the things he's been keeping a secret and finds out that he had given her the body he had built his daughter, who was murdered by a drug addict patient of his who broke into the house. His wife, Chiron, left him immediately after because she couldn't deal with the loss of her child. While doing his analysis, Dyson tells her that her heart was made from technology that existed before the fall, which made her 300 years old. After being damaged, Grewishka seeks Chiron's help, blaming Dyson's cyborg girl. Nova, a powerful figure in Salem, instructs Chiron and Vector, the motorball tournament owner, to capture the girl responsible for Grewishka's damage. Nova offers Chiron the long-desired opportunity to go to Salem if she completes this task, to which she eagerly agrees. Back at the medical lab, Alita expresses her strong desire to be a hunter-warrior, so it helps her remember her past, but Dyson forbids her from doing so. Angry, she runs away from him, telling him that she will find her way. The next day, Alita meets Hugo, who takes her to the motorball tournament. After the tournament, it is revealed that Hugo and his crew worked for Vector by doing his dirty work of stealing the parts of cyborgs in the motorball game that he found threatening. Wait, hold on. Do you like the recap so far? Why not help us out by subscribing to the channel? It would help us keep making awesome recaps for you guys. Now let's get back to the recap. The following day, Hugo and his friends take Alita out into the Badlands and show her a URM ship that had gone down during the war. Sensing something, Alita dives into the water and goes into the ship, surprised when she finds a highly advanced cyborg body. Alita takes the body home and asks Dyson to install her in it, but he refuses, telling her that the body was known as a berserker, a deadly weapon created by the URM. He explains that the body responded to her because she too used to be a URM berserker. the most advanced cyborg weapon ever created, which was why he would never unite the two. Angry with his response, Alita registers herself as a hunter warrior. Once she gets her ID, she goes down to the hunter bar and tries to ask for her to kill Grewishka, but they laugh at her. Angry and wanting to make a point, Alita challenges everyone in the bar to a fight, making them understand that if she wins, they will fight alongside her. After Alita takes on Zapan, the most feared hunter, the bar erupts in a blood frenzy. Hearing the chaos in the bar, Dyson hurries there and stops the fight by announcing that he will stop giving free repairs. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Grewishka walks in with an upgraded body and challenges Alita. The two have an intense fight, where Grewishka reveals that he had been sent by Zalem's overlord, Nova. During the fight, Alita is severely injured, her body cut up into pieces, but is saved just in time by Dyson, Hugo, and the Dogmaster. Apologizing for not listening to her before, Dyson installs Alita into her berserker body. Once Alita wakes up, she thanks Dyson for what he has done for her, then goes to see Hugo, and they share a kiss. After Grewishka's failure, Vector refuses to leave his fate in his hands and approaches Hugo under false pretenses, then convinces him to push Alita to try out for the motorball games. Manipulated by the promises of going to Zalem, Hugo tells Alita his idea, to which she agrees. Before the tryouts, Vector addresses the rest of the players and tells them that he will pay a lot of money to anyone who kills Alita. Looking at the setup, Dyson figures out that the game was rigged to kill Antia and informs her, but she goes through with it. Using her impeccable skills, Alita manages to take out most of them, but is distracted when Hugo calls her panicking, telling her Zapan was trying to kill him. Immediately leaving the arena, still followed by 3 other cyborgs, Alita hurries to the man she's in love with. On the road, she dispatches her assailants one by one and makes it just in time to stop the hunter. Zapan had killed Hugo's friend, Tanji, and framed him for murder, putting him on the bounty hunter list, which made Alita an accomplice if she tried to help him. Alita also finds out that Hugo had kept the fact that he jacked cyborgs and stole their parts a secret, which upsets her. When he sees the Centurions arrive, Zapan stabs Hugo in the stomach, devastating Alita. She takes him into the church where she's approached by Chiron after feeling sorry for the girl and changing her mind about working for Nova. She gives her the idea to decapitate Hugo's head and keep it alive with her body, long enough for him to get a cyborg one. Covering up the head with Hugo's jacket, Alita carries it out, uncovering it only to show the Centurions. When Zapan tries to confront her, she enacts the hunter law of stealing another hunter's prize and cuts off his face. Alita takes Hugo's severed head to Dyson so he can install it in a cyborg body. Alita feels like what happened to Hugo is her fault and decides to make it right by killing Vector. She fights her way into the factory and confronts Vector about lying to Hugo. Showing her Chiren's harvested organs, Vector tells her that it is the only way a person goes to Zalem. While still in Vector's office, Grewishka approaches Alita ready to attack, but she easily destroys him and then stabs Vector after forcing Nova to speak to her through Vector. Suddenly, Alita gets a call from Dyson, telling her that Hugo is trying to climb his way up to Zalem with his new cyborg body. Alita catches up to him and convinces him to return with him, but before he can, Nova activates the wire's defense mechanism and shreds Hugo's body. Alita grabs his hand with only his upper body remaining, but his arm is not strong enough to hold him. Before he falls to his death, Hugo thanks her for saving his life. A few months later, Alita quickly rises through the ranks of the motorball players and has finally made it to the Champions League, where if she wins, she will get a chance to go to Zalem. In front of the crowd, Alita raises her sword to Zalem, while Nova watches smirking. And that is how today's recap comes to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stick around and let me know which movie you'd like to see recapped next.